High atop a quiet mountain, where clouds wept silver tears and time seemed to stretch thin between each breath, there stood a monastery known only to the few who had heard its legend. Once every 100 years, a bell in the monastery would ring only once, and whoever heard its sound would either awaken or be broken. This mystery spread through villages and cities, and some believed the bell was a myth. Others said it held divine wisdom, a sound so pure it could show you your life's greatest truth, your greatest mistake, but no one ever heard it. Not for centuries, till one day it rang, and a man named Darren, haunted by regret and tethered to a mistake that had changed his life, heard it echo through the valley. He dropped everything and ran. Darren had once been a teacher, respected, loved. He taught young minds the art of philosophy, virtue, and purpose. But in one moment of pride, he'd chosen ambition over compassion. He had exposed a student's private suffering to win an argument in public. That student took his own life a week later. From that day, Darren stopped teaching. He stopped living. He wandered through cities, hiding behind jobs and smiles, his soul corroded by a silent scream. I didn't mean to hurt him. Years passed. His beard grew wild, his eyes hollow. Until the morning, he heard that strange, solitary bell echoing through the clouds like the voice of something ancient, something that knew. He climbed for 3 days, barefoot and blistered, to reach the monastery. There at the gates sat a monk, still as the mountain. I heard the bell, Darren panted. The monk looked up. Then you have been called. Inside the monastery, there were no prayers, no incense, only silence. The monk guided Darren to a vast chamber, empty except for a single golden bell suspended by ancient ropes. It no longer swung. It had done what it needed to do. You are not here because of the bell, said the monk. You are here because of what you still carry. Darren collapsed to the floor. I ruined someone's life. I can't undo it. The monk sat beside him. You're right, you can't undo it. But the question is, have you ever truly looked at it? I relive it every day. No, the monk said softly. You repeat it, but you have never truly entered it. At evening, Darren was sitting in the park where some animals were passionately reared. There was an old deer sleeping on grass, tired and without energy. Darren lovingly touched its head, and suddenly deer fell and died at the spot. Darren was shocked and cried that he killed the deer. Monk came and asked, "How did you kill it?" Darren told, "I tried to pet it out of love, and suddenly it died by my touch." "Did you have any intention of killing the deer?" Monk asked calmly. "No, I never wanted to hurt anyone in my entire life," he cried. Monk said, "Then why are you suffering? Whatever happens in this world happens for a purpose. You and I are just doing our small part in a larger play." Deer was old and suffering from pain and was waiting for its end. You have not killed it, you relieved it of suffering. That evening, the monk asked Darren to look into his eyes. But these were not ordinary eyes, but divine eyes that know past and future. When Darren looked into them, he saw his life, his childhood, his first joy, his first lie, his pride, his rise, and that one moment. The moment he spoke the cruel words in front of the crowd. The moment that changed everything. Later, he saw that boy who ended his life not because of Darren, but because his lover and a close friend cheated him. He watched it unfold from every angle. But then, for the first time, he saw something else. He saw himself, after the mistake, how he buried his remorse, how he hardened his heart, how he stopped giving anything good to the world because of his guilt. And the monk whispered, "The true mistake was not that moment. It was what you let it do to every moment after." Darren stayed for months. Eventually, Darren began speaking to the young monks. Not as a teacher, but as a man who had once destroyed a life, his own included, and now wanted to build again. One morning, the head monk gave him a gift, a small copper bell. "This," he said, will never ring like the one above, but you can ring it in your own way, each time you choose presence over the past. Darren descended the mountain 1 year later, not healed, but whole. He returned to teaching. But this time, he didn't lecture from pride. He shared from pain. And his classroom became a sanctuary for those carrying invisible wounds. He taught not from the perfection of being right, but from the humility of having once been wrong. The legend of the bell spread even farther, not because it had rung again, but because someone who had heard it had changed. How many of us are still defined by one mistake we cannot forgive ourselves for? What if your worst moment was only meant to wake you up, not chain you forever? If this story stirred something inside you, hit like and subscribe, because we all carry something that needs to be transformed. Comment below. What would you say to your past self if you finally forgave them? Or what if it was not a mistake at all?